Rosa Parks, My Story, You're Under Arrest, by Rosa Parks with Jim Haskins. Segregated seating on a Montgomery, Alabama bus, 1955. From the top, front entrance, whites only, Rosa Parks, middle seats, back entrance, African American seating. When I got off from work that evening of December 1st, I went to Court Square as usual to catch the Cleveland Avenue bus home. I didn't look to see who was driving when I got on, and by the time I recognized him, I had already paid my fare. It was the same driver who had put me off the bus back in 1943, 12 years earlier. He was still tall and heavy with red, rough-looking skin. And he was still mean-looking. I didn't know if he had been on that route before. They switched the drivers around sometimes. I do know that most of the time if I saw him on a bus, I wouldn't get on it. I saw a vacant seat in the middle section of the bus and took it. I didn't even question why there was a vacant seat, even though there were quite a few people standing in the back. If I had thought about it at all, I would probably have figured maybe someone saw me get on and did not take the seat but left it vacant for me. There was a man sitting next to the window and two women across the aisle. The next stop was the Empire Theater, and some whites got on. They filled up the white seats, and one man was left standing. The driver looked back and noticed the man standing. Then he looked back at us. He said, "Let me have those front seats," because they were the front seats of the black section. Didn't anybody move. We just sat right where we were, the four of us. Then he spoke a second time. "Y'all better make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats." The man in the window seat next to me stood up, and I moved to let him pass by me. And then I looked across the aisle and saw that the two women were also standing. I moved over to the window seat. I could not see how standing up was going to make it light for me. The more we gave in and complied, the worse they treated us. I thought back to the time when I used to sit up all night and didn't sleep, and my grandfather would have his gun right by the fireplace, or if he had his one-horse wagon going anywhere, he always had his gun in the back of the wagon. People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically, or no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old, although some people have an image of me as being old then. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. The driver of the bus saw me still sitting there, and he asked, was I going to stand up? I said no. He said, "Well, I'm going to have you arrested." Then I said, "You may do that." These were the only words we said to each other. I didn't even know his name, which was James Blake, until we were in court together. He got out of the bus and stayed outside for a few minutes, waiting for the police. As I sat there, I tried not to think about what might happen. I knew that anything was possible. I could be manhandled or beaten. I could be arrested. People have asked me if it occurred to me then that I could be the test case the NAACP had been looking for. I did not think about that at all. In fact, if I had let myself think too deeply about what might happen to me, I might have gotten off the bus. But I chose to remain. Meanwhile, there were people getting off the bus and asking for transfers, so that began to loosen up the crowd, especially in the back of the bus. Not everyone got off, but everybody was very quiet. What conversation there was in low tones. No one was talking out loud. It would have been quite interesting to have seen the whole bus empty out, or if the other 3 had stayed where they were, because if they'd had to arrest 4 of us instead of 1, then that would have given me a little support. But it didn't matter. I never thought hard of them at all and never even bothered to criticize them. Eventually, 2 policemen came. They got on the bus, and one of them asked me why I didn't stand up. I asked him, "Why do you all push us around?" He said to me, and I quote him exactly, "I don't know, but the law is the law, and you're under arrest." One policeman picked up my purse, and the second one picked up my shopping bag and escorted me to the squad car. In the squad car, they returned my personal belongings to me. They did not put their hands on me or force me into the car. After I was seated in the car, they went back to the driver and asked him if he wanted to swear out a warrant. He answered that he would finish his route and then come straight back to swear out the warrant. I was only in custody, not legally arrested, until the warrant was signed. As they were driving me to the city desk at City Hall near Court Street, one of them asked me again, "Why didn't you stand up when the driver spoke to you?" I did not answer. I remained silent all the way to City Hall. Rosa Parks was born in Tuskegee, Alabama on February 4th, 1913. Known as the First Lady of Civil Rights, Parks was a lifelong civil rights activist and a member of the NAACP, where she worked as a youth leader and then as secretary to the NAACP president. On December 1st, 1955, there is a typo that reads 1995, in Montgomery, Alabama, Parks refused to give up her seat on a public bus for a white passenger after the whites-only section of the bus filled up. She was arrested, and the legal case that followed became the starting platform for the citywide Montgomery bus boycott, which would then launch a nationwide effort to end the segregation of public facilities. Parks died in 2005 and is remembered as an icon of the civil rights movement.